Hello, Nagaland aspirants. Welcome to Edufy Institute. My name is Mukul Kumar. I am the senior faculty of the institute, and today the topic on which we are going to talk about is El Nino, specially to discuss on what happens when Pacific Ocean gets angry. You already can see what is our topic, that is El Nino. So, without any further ado, let's start our discussion. So first of all, I want to show you, here are some newspaper cuttings where you can see there are multiple times El Nino been in news in many ways. In many ways, I mean to say that this El Nino causes multiple weather functions and dysfunctions around the world. It can cause good amount of rainfall in some part of the world, and it can also cause dry conditions, drought conditions in some other parts of the world. In the same context, we are going to develop our knowledge about what happens when Pacific Ocean gets warm. In our next slide, we will try to see in normal condition what happens when Pacific is calm. In this slide, as you can see, this is the normal condition of Pacific Ocean waters. Pacific Ocean waters in this picture, in this corner, as you can see, this is a North American and South American continent, and this is our Asian continent coast. In the middle, which the blue one you can see, is the Pacific one. This Pacific water in a normal condition generally is a cold water situated at the western coast of North and South American continent of America, and in the normal condition Asian coast has warm Pacific water influence. In this condition, what happens? Generally, the wind starts traveling with the influence of trade wind from American side towards the high temperature water area. That means this region becomes high pressure zone and this region becomes low pressure zone. So according to the high pressure and low pressure condition, the wind starts moving from the high pressure towards low pressure area. During this course of journey, these winds carries lot of Pacific water as a evaporation and reach till the low pressure area where the whole water is warm. According to the physical law, these warm water or causes air which is blown in this region causes it also to be warm, and the warm air gets uplifted with the moisture. When this convective air goes up, because of upness, the temperature in upper region of atmosphere is cooler, so this warm air with evaporation causes the one of the physical action called condensation process, goes through a condensation process, and this air starts condensing and takes the form of clouds, big clouds. Generally, these clouds are nimbostratus types of clouds. If you don't remember, you can repeat my video. You will understand the type of cloud is nimbostratus clouds. These nimbostratus clouds or cumulonimbus clouds, they starts gathering at the coast of Asia and causes heavy rainfall in this corner of Asiatic coast. Why? You should always remember that low pressure is built up at the coast of Asia and high pressure is built up over the coast of America. Got it? Now, when El Nino condition starts, what happens when severe El Nino condition starts? Just reverse the situation. What happens when El Nino is about to enter? The trade winds which I mentioned, trade winds are generally the winds who are blowing at the center regions of our planet Earth between our Tropic of Cancer, Capricorn and Equator. This equator region's trade winds gets weaker and weaker. What happens? gradually this wind starts opposite, blowing from the opposite side towards the American side, that is from Asian side towards the American side. Gradually, this warm water expands and cold water gets down under, subsided under the ocean. Okay, subsides under the ocean. When it gets subsides under the ocean, all the nutritions which this coast of America has, which came with the flow of cold water at the surface, again goes back to the under regions of the ocean. You can have the example from this condition. This is the normal condition we just discussed, and this is the El Nino condition we are discussing right now. I said the trade wind starts getting weaker, so the wind blows from here and starts entering towards American coast. During the course of wind movement from eastern coast of Asia, the warm water also starts moving towards the western coast of America. Now, when this process happens, the cold water remained here goes under the land, under the water, and warm water takes place at the coast of America. Got it? And in the other side, the cold water rises up. So this part of Asia and Australia starts getting cold water accumulation, and this part of America, North and South America, starts getting accumulation of warm water. This is the condition of El Nino. Every aspirant should know about it. This is the rare condition of El Nino. Now, when this El Nino happens, that means warm water at American coast, cold water at Asian coast, then the wind who are blowing from cold water region, that is high pressure area, high pressure, low pressure also changes. High pressure goes to the Asian coast and low pressure goes to the warm coast, that is Peru coast. Okay. Now, whenever the wind blows from high pressure to the low pressure area, so they carry again the same process. With the same process, they carry huge water vapor with it. When they reach low pressure area, they convect up, goes up, rise up, and ultimately the upper temperature is low, so they start getting condensation, and they start converting into clouds, and the rainfall occurs in these coast of South America and North American regions. If I name you the country's name, then especially Peru region, Chile region, Bolivia region, here Panama, Mexico, till California region of North America, that is USA. If you talk about Asian part, then we have Myanmar, Southeast Asian nations like Indonesia and Philippines and other regions, including Queensland region of Australia. Got it? So this is the rare condition of El Nino. Now the question arises that for how long El Nino remains in our planet. So that answer is bit complicated because sometimes El Nino remains in ocean for 2 months and sometimes for 2 years. Second question arises in our mind is when this El Nino comes, is there any specific time of El Nino incoming, or is there any specific condition of El Nino incoming? So the time is also unpredictable these days. Why? Because El Nino is heavily influenced by global warming. And this global warming condition in modern times of environment has influenced our El Nino conditions very drastically. So geographers, climatologists, they keep on researching on minute DNA of El Nino conditions to understand it more and much better way. So all these things which I have explained right now, I will draw here and you will just try to understand what I'm talking about. Okay. So I said when the El Nino condition appears, when the normal condition appears, I would say. In a normal conditions, what happens? The cold water remains in these parts, these regions. So if the water is cold, so I will directly write here, remember, high pressure. Why? Because the air which is connected to the water is also cold. So the pressure of air is high. Now, in other part of the world, that is Asian region and including Australian region, we have warm water here. So I would mention here low pressure, because warm water is warm, so the air which is connected to that water is also warm and the pressure is low. Okay, so now what happens? This is a normal condition. Okay, normal year condition. So what happens? This is our equator part. You should remember, every aspirant should remember that equator passes through which region. So this is the region from where the equator passes by. Okay, so I'll mention equator here. This is equator, 0 degree latitude. Now from this equator, what happens normally? Generally the planetary winds travel, and planetary wind, I will give a different color shade. That planetary wind comes like this. Okay, they travel like this. We call these winds as a trade winds from both sides, from both hemisphere, like this. Clear? So these trade winds are powerful. So what happens? As they blowing from east towards west, the cold areas also starts expanding. Cold water also reach more sections of Pacific, and warm water section shrinks. Now what happens? Since winds are traveling from high pressure towards low pressure, I will draw it with another color like this. So winds are traveling from this region to another region, this low pressure region. So finally when they rise up, they form in this section of Queensland, of Australia and Indonesia and other parts of the Southeast Asia. And this particular region of America remains dry. I would draw full stop. This particular regions of America remains dry. I would write dry. Got it? This is a normal condition. Now let's talk about the abnormal condition when El Nino arrives. Alright. Now when El Nino arrives, just opposite the condition. Opposite the condition means the warm water will accumulate here and cold water will accumulate here. Opposite, ulta. So cold water here makes high pressure zone in Asian region and it makes low pressure zone in American coast. Now you have to remember, winds always travel from high pressure to low pressure. So when wind starts blowing from high pressure to low pressure, what point you should remember here, I would write in this extra in this side of the slide, that is during this El Nino condition, trade winds are weak. Okay, trade winds are weak. When trade winds are weak, so it gives these winds to a chance to move towards America, because if trade winds will be stronger, then it will not allow these winds to go to America. So what happens? Trade winds are weaker, so this high pressure winds move towards low pressure area, that is American coast, and causes the same phenomena. They rise up, they forms cloud accumulation happens at the coast of America, and huge and good amount of rainfall occurs in American coast. Alright, so this is the basic phenomena of El Nino. What happens due to this? Generally these areas, country people who are mostly fishermen, they are not happy with this natural condition that is called El Nino condition. This country in South America is Peru. So when the Peru people knew about this phenomena of nature, since they speak Spanish language, so in Spanish, out of anger, they do the namkaran in the sense they name this phenomena as El Nino phenomena. Okay, so remember, El Nino is a Spanish word which came out of Peru country. Why they have given this El Nino phenomena name? Because this condition, this El Nino condition, destroys their basic function of survival. That is, they are mostly dependent on fishing. So the fishing conditions are not appropriate during this particular time. So this is how El Nino works. El Nino obviously happens in Pacific area only, but it has a huge influence over the world. Since Pacific is the biggest ocean in the world, so remember the influence, anything which happens in Pacific has influence over the world climatic condition. I'll give you a small glimpse of world climatic condition if this thing happens, especially when El Nino this like this, El Nino has complete dominance on over the whole world's climate, and it influences every country. I would talk about India. So India in this case do not get so much of influence, but the previous situation which I told you, that warm water is here, cold water is there, that time the Indian monsoon gets influenced. All right. I hope this topic El Nino was understood. So aspirants, to know about more like this interesting topics of geography in an easy manner, stay connected to Edufy Institute. Thank you.